In a country where commerce drives progress, one man has stood at the forefront of private sector growth. His leadership has inspired change. His vision has reshaped industries, and his impact continues to open doors for entrepreneurs across the Gambia. This is the story of Idrissa Mas Job and the transformation of a nation through the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry. From humble beginnings in engineering, Idrissa Mas Job rose through the ranks of global oil giants, led Elton Oil, chaired industry boards, and founded EM Holding. But beyond the boardroom, he is a mentor, a reformer, and a patriot.
After 30 years in the private sector, I have worked and invested in nearly every sector of the economy, mainly petroleum, but in banking, in insurance, in agro-industry, slug air. Over the years, I have acquired a huge network of friends and acquaintances. And these guys form together as individuals, as groups and organizations, came to me and then asked me that I should participate in the GCCI elections 6 years ago. That was the first thing. And the second inspiration was the legacy of this great institution. GCCI is much older than the Republic of the Gambia and much older than our currency, the dollar. And it has always been led by remarkable leaders. All the leaders that came to me, all the previous presidents and directors, were remarkable people that have achieved a lot for the business community. I was also inspired by the ability of our organization to create economic value for business, but in a way that creates value for the community. And that has been the mantra of our manifesto. How do we create value for business whilst creating value for the community? The community is the principal both to business and to the government. It is the principal for the government because the community are the people that vote. And for business, the community are our customers. They create value for us, the reasons that we survive.
Encouraged by his peers and driven by conviction, Idrissa Mas Job stepped into the GCCI presidency with a vision to connect business and society and to transform an institution into a true national partner. From Banjul to Basse, under his leadership, the chamber reached new corners of the nation. His mission was clear: to bring the chamber closer to the people and to make private sector growth a community effort.
My presidency places strong emphasis on Pan-Africanism, especially Pan-African trade. Trade is the most true measure of integration in Africa. Beyond political integration is economic integration. And today, intra-African trade is the lowest in the world. Another thing that I was interested in is that trade within Africa has lower barriers than African exporting to Europe. And the people involved in this trade are the micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises that constitute the majority not of the population, but the majority of the business community. These micro, small enterprises, they are not only agents of trade and agents of development. They act beyond business in their community. They are the credit givers, they are microfinance agencies. They mobilize savings, and more importantly, within the community, they provide a social safety net. Therefore, my major focus was to transform GCCI into a community-based institution where the small micro and medium-sized enterprises not only have a voice, but they were the focus of this organization. As a result, we were able to open outside of the greater Banjul area GCCI offices all the way to Basse, and it's one thing that we are very proud of. And all throughout this period, we were doing things that were more community focused, helping people at the bottom of the economic pyramid.
It has been an immense privilege and an amazing opportunity to have worked with President Job for the past 6 years. The journey of his GCCI presidency from 2019 to date has been one of the most profound periods of huge impact for the GCCI. He has been a visionary leader. He's been also, at the same time, a very empathetic leader, always willing and ready to fight the cause of all, particularly from across not only the business community, but all sectors.
In 6 years, milestones followed, from crisis management during COVID to new trade grounds and regional cooperation. His presidency was not just about advocacy, but about building resilience and opportunity.
For my legacy as a president of GCCI, the first one is our leadership during the COVID-19 crisis. GCCI, at the very early stage of COVID-19, we took over leadership, involving the private sector, not only in raising funds. We were able to raise for the first time $400,000 by Gambians and mainly in the private sector. And this money we leverage with the UNDP to address some of the most critical areas that were important for COVID-19, including the prison services. We built for them their kitchen, we provide them ambulance services. We were able to do the same thing for the sanatorium. We even prepared our own trade fair grounds for eventual usage. So I would think COVID-19 would remain a pillar and a characteristic of the job we have done at the GCCI. The next thing I've always talked about, intra-African trade. And we organized the Senegambia Economic Forum between the private sector of the Gambia and the private sector of Senegal. But we involved the unionists, involved the customs agent, the different ministries in the Gambia and Senegal, and even the national assemblies of the two countries. Trade for the Gambia, especially intra-African trade. Trade between African and other continents and countries is done by sea, but all intra-African trade is done by road. And 90% of Gambian export passes through Senegal, whether it's going to Mali, whether it's going to Guinea-Bissau, whether it's going to Guinea-Conakry, or whether it's going to Senegal. The first point of call is Senegal. Therefore, our relationship as far as trade is concerned between the Gambia and Senegal is important. And the Senegambia Economic Forum was very, very successful and important, and I think it's something we should continue. Also, we were able to diversify the income of GCCI. GCCI was very dependent on two things, fundraising through the annual dinner event, and we were very dependent on the ISRT, but we were able to diversify our income base. And this year and last year and the year before that, we had made surpluses. And in addition to that, another important transformation would be the constitutional reforms we have done. It was to give back the leadership of GCCI to the business community. Therefore, the criteria to be a president, a vice president, or board member included having to be de facto a businessman. But more importantly, we were able to introduce two things: sectorial representation and demographic representation. We have a youth representation now in the chamber, but we also have now representation by sector, by the finance sector, by the agricultural sector, by the manufacturing sector. This allows the GCCI to be a broader representative of the entire private sector. We are also very proud that we appointed the first female CEO, and I was hoping that we will appoint also, I will hand over to the first female president. But still, we have very strong candidate for the presidency of GCCI. We are proud of the people that have come forward yet. They are very strong. Any one of them we get as a president would take the GCCI much further. And I'm not numbering this thing. Another thing we are very proud of is the introduction of the Advisory Council. This consists of the past president and past CEOs of GCCI. They have a lot of historical knowledge. They have a lot of legacy information about our organization. We have formed them into an advisory council, giving them important roles like conducting the elections of the board and the presidency. During my term also, we were able to activate the NBC. The NBC was a very good innovation of my predecessor. We were able to use it to work. At some point during the COVID period, we were meeting almost every weekend until there was a mishap. One of the honorable ministers I think contracted COVID. But then it was a very good forum. We are grateful to the government, the president, and the vice president for their attendance of the National Business Council. We are also able to develop a project for our Jula City. We have now a master plan for Jula City that includes the development of a commercial playground. It includes the development of malls and offices in addition to our what I call permanent trade fair. So this was also a very big development. And coming to that is the use of the trade fair grounds. Now it's been 5 years or more. We have stopped using the stadium as the location for the annual trade fair. Above all, more importantly, we have become a member-focused organization, creating real opportunities and exposure for the Gambian businesses locally and internationally. We have been organizing events and seminars.
GCCI have been a valuable partner because they support in all different ways. Anytime we had a project or we talk to them, they support us. So I believe that with GCCI, the business community can move to the highest heights in this country.
But GCCI going forward should focus on collaboration. How do we bring business together to be able to create bigger institutions, to be able to create bigger projects to exploit our different knowledge base, to be able to exploit the opportunities of the future, whatever they are going to be. GCCI we have already started that, has been and would remain a members organization. And we had stopped representing our members. Instead, we present them. If you look at recently, we have sent people to China. There are people on their way to Japan, where it is not the secretariat that would go and represent them. We are going to send our members directly to represent themselves because it's an opportunity for best practice sharing. It is an opportunity for learning and benchmarking. And finally, on the issue of economic development. We are as rich as our country should be, and we remain committed to sustainable economic development of this country, because it is within this country that we do our business, and we wish everybody well, we wish the country well. Not only that, we will continue to be positive agents for economic, social, and cultural development.
While we know that President Job will always be part of GCCI, we still wish to take this opportunity to wish him the very best of luck in anything that he wishes to start and continue doing in all his future endeavors. Our prayers are with him for the very best in future.
Working with President Job in the past 3 years has been very enriching, and that is purely because of his leadership style. He leads with passion, vision, humility, and inclusivity. I believe that every minute, everybody's voice counted, and that was very unique. Mr. Job is an engineer, but a very successful business person. Anybody would want to emulate his steps, and he's very good at giving his story. He's always good at telling stories. That is one thing we will really miss. He's always very good at telling us stories about what his steps, where he came from, what he did, and why. So we will miss those stories, but those stories were like lessons on a daily basis.
Idrissa Mas Job's journey from engineer to entrepreneur, from boardrooms to farms, from ideas to institutions, reminds us that true leadership is not about position, but about purpose. He built bridges where there were none. And now, he leaves the path open for others to rise.
I want to thank the GCCI members that elected me to this very honorable office. And I am proud of what we have accomplished together. I also want to thank the government and the community. Without them, we would not have been able to do all that we have done together, not only as a GCCI, but we have done together with the government and with the community at large. The journey has been very challenging, but deeply rewarding to me and to my colleagues, and deeply rewarding to my family, my wife, and my children. The role that the media community played during the COVID crisis was immense. And because of that partnership between the community, GCCI business, and the media fraternity, the Gambia was able to sail through one of the greatest scourges to the human race relatively successfully. So we are grateful to everybody. I want to thank all for the opportunity.
Today, as he reflects on his journey, his advice to future leaders is simple: integrity above all. For the Chamber, the task ahead is to remain a trusted voice, an inclusive partner, and a driver of sustainable growth.
I had a very dynamic board, and I want to thank them for their support during the last 6 years of my presidency. I am also confident that the membership would elect again a more dynamic board. And my only advice to this board, if you will call it an advice, is do the right thing.